Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the Yulia Show. This is Mililki speaking, and I'll be talking about a taboo subject, or maybe just unregarded subject, which is I find fascinating. It's spiritual nature in human beings, spirituality in general. The reason I say it's taboo is basically because in modern society, which is scientifically uh, guided society, well, we tend to underestimate or under misunderstand the word spiritual. Why? Well, that is understandable. First of all, we understand spirituality, or many people understand it, as a dogmatic point of living. A dogmatic way of thinking, basically principles that are taught, followed, and never questioned. And many of these principles apparently contradict scientific findings and theories, and many of them do. But let's remember that there is objective and literal ways of interpreting things, and there are not so more symbolic ways of regarding these. The thing is, spirituality, as many people have been. I was raised not an atheist. I mean, we were never arrogant enough to think that we were the only intelligent life in the universe and creation itself, but we did doubt the presence of intelligence as humans understand intelligence. So I was raised, scientific point of view, and never questioned these things until my early adolescence, when I started to grab some interests because some subjects that were discussed from time to time, or maybe internet and movies and just things that caught my attention, and I started thinking, well, what is spirituality? We The point of this show is not to give the truth, to expose the truth. It's rather to expose ways of getting around experience and understanding, so everyone can construct their own puzzle and understand their own life themselves in a better way, in the sense that they will actually know themselves and not take into account the information as it is given to them without first experience by in itself. Spirituality, the word I know is hard to swallow for some people. It is not always related to a religion. It is not always related to a dogmatic institution, or a cult or sect or group, and it doesn't necessarily have to do with the reading of a certain script and applying that word for word in your everyday life. It's not necessarily about wrong and right. It's not necessarily about black and white. The way many understand it, it's growing. This is growing actually in today's world. Is understanding spirituality as a way of experiencing life in general, instead of the aspect I just mentioned. Experience in itself doesn't necessarily have to have a label, because it is so vast and it has so many aspects to it that we cannot just limit the whole concept to single black and white definitions. We are When I say we are spiritual people, I will be saying this maybe once or twice. I will be referring to the aspect of human nature that is actually abstract. It is more in experience than it is in limiting and controlling information. It is more about what the experience is in life in an overall sense, and how we understand it in one way or another, in order to grow, in order to find harmony in a way, find, I don't know if peace is the right word to use, but at least find harmony, which is that state in which you can interact with the world around you and interact with yourself, and still be in in a sense harmonic, in a sense not that distressed, or not that confused, or just anguished. Um, the state of being in humans is basically can be understood as mental, as physical, or as all of the above. And I think, and many people are starting to not understand, but to perceive that today's society is just uh, it's not plagued, but because that's an ugly word, right? But it's really taken the direction of material aspects of material understanding of life. You are born, you go through life, you eat, you reproduce, you work, you sleep, you do all these things that are basically and overall the whole meaning of it. And then you die, and then there's nothing else. The fact that science hasn't discovered, well, the mainstream science, because other aspects of science have been delving into this, but mainstream doesn't know what happens after death or before you are born. And it is obviously logical to think that there's nothing there, because the unknown is basically, instead of putting in theories, we would rather, be calculating and say, in a certain humble way, well, there's nothing. But that can get kind of enclosing when you actually get to understand life not just as physical events and physical activities, because then we will be needing more physical activities and we will be disregarding the mental part, the emotional part. This, that is spiritual, as I understand it. Spiritual means the processes that we go through on all levels as human beings. It is, of course, the most basic level to, we need food, we need sleep, we need rest, we need work, physical activity, and we need contact with other humans, with the air, with water. That is what maintains us in this existence as we know it. But then there's also the emotional stuff, the psychological and mental stuff, and all this is important to take into account because it is what motivates our actions. And if we come to see the world as it is today, society, or at least Western society, which is pretty much affecting the whole world, it is consuming all around it, and it is in itself kind of not unhappy maybe, but it is not satisfied with the way, in general, with the way things are working. There's always trouble, there's always conflict, and there's many reasons for this, and no one can claim to know the exact explanation and truths about life. But in a general sense, it is a reflection of what we are in the inside, because what we think and feel and express, we manifest in a way in the actions, in the activities we do, and the people we seek, the conversations we have, the conclusions we come to, and the things really we take into action in life. So, is the world we see around us really what we're hoping to leave to our children and grandchildren? And is it what we really want to be living today? What do we need to start changing this reality in order to have abundance, in order to have harmony, in order to be physically, emotionally, and psychically well? We might want to start by looking into ourselves, and then that again is what I understand as spirituality. Looking into oneself, meaning that instead of just going through your everyday activities because that's what the system needs you, or in a certain way demands you to do, we should just question, okay, I will do this, I will go to work, but just feel whatever emotion comes through you, whatever thought comes through you, observe it, and then feel it, and then you'll start to see activities as in a different aspect. No, I don't really want to do this, or yes, I feel like doing something different today, because it's not the routine, it's not something you do without thinking, it's not something you just used to, it's not mechanic. And the opposite of mechanic is, of course, organic. And being organic means getting in touch with the inner motivations that are suppressed, that have been repressed all since we were born. Basically, we've been suppressing some things, and that is necessary in a sense, but we forget about very important things that not even the ones that taught us how to live knew about, because they themselves were suppressed in many ways. Exploring these areas, these motivations, dreams, senses, feelings, fears, all of it, it doesn't have to take into a label classified as bad or good, or morally good or morally bad, or practical or unpractical. Take let me put an example. I might see a flower, and I might just see a flower as a biological thing that grows and gives us, I don't know, maybe a seed. But then someone else might see that flower and remember the time that uh, someone gave that girl a flower, and so it means something to her. It's significant. Well, that is inner truth. That is inner meaning, which I don't share maybe, but that inner meaning gives her life meaning, and that's why we choose what to do, what we do. That's why there are so many different interests, so many different things, ways of expression, and this aspect has, frankly, I think, been overlooked in modern society because we are so bombarded, right? I mean, I don't even watch TV anymore because I used to watch a lot of TV, but I went from watching, reality shows and just entertaining stuff, the things everyone watches. I kind of started thinking I'm just looking at other people's lives, and even if I can learn from this stuff, I mean, there must be something more interesting that's got to do with my own interests. So then I started watching other channels, as History Channel, National Geographic, all this kind of stuff, and yeah, there was a lot more to learn in there. And well, a few years later, I just stopped watching TV because I learned to actually do things on my own. I didn't need to have a material thing to be entertained. I didn't need to pay to be entertained. I didn't need a car to transport myself from point A to point B, and I didn't need someone to tell me what has to be done on free time, or how do you have to think, or what a concept of reality is to enjoy life and to go through life. Even though I work, even though I study, I went to school. That is normal, of course, because I didn't want to take the extreme path, right? I mean, we do live in this world, and we should try to change it bit by bit. But um, what I realized is that spirituality is important because it means getting to know ourselves. And then people might misunderstand this and go like, yeah, you mean like guru, or go into Buddhism a little bit and go into all that stuff and meditate. Well, yeah, but meditation doesn't, again, meditation is just inner observe observation, really. It's inner feeling. Instead of going outside and watching TV, or going outside and drinking beer or having a cup of coffee or whatever, just listen to your own emotions, or not listen, feel your own emotions, and in a sense, sense yourself. And you might get to know yourself a lot better and use your time in a much productive way. And if you're not that interested, it might only be useful to, get a little things clarified, why you're so heart broken, or maybe why you're not satisfied with your job, or why this person you don't like. You might kind of see something in them that reflects on yourself, and get to work on that. So it's not about dogmatic thinking. It's not about religion. It's not about um, imposing ideas or views. It's just about sharing and having an opinion on why we are living in this world. Why are there so many wars? Why do we depend so much on material things? Why is money all we care about, in the sense that it is what runs the world? The world economy is based on oil, and then again, oil and all we do with it is destructive to the world around us. So if we want to leave a world behind that is kind of possible, I mean, makes it possible for humans to live on, we might want to start thinking on, okay, let's know ourselves and not go to the extreme, of I'm a Christian, I'm a Jew, I'm whatever, and I'm no extreme either of I'm a scientific pointed person. I'm everything is just biological, and when you die there's nothing else, so I might as well do whatever I want with my life. Because then again, that's not the way the world works. I mean, in fact, modern science, I know it's cheesy again, but quantum physics is really the most advanced science, mainstream science today, and it's exploring the subatomic world, and it's discovering that actually mind actually interacts with matter because it's made up of the same stuff. It's resonance, basically. It's vibrating energy in different patterns, different frequencies, and it gets into different structures. So that's what makes up an atom, and that's what makes things different. And of course, that's a simplistic way of putting it because I don't understand most of it, but the basic idea is that it's all made up of the same stuff, and that includes thoughts and emotions, which is also vibration, like a radio wavelength that you go through. Your mind also has a wavelength. Your thoughts have a particular wavelength. So that's what the output you're putting in, and that is really what's constructing uh, in this scientific point of view, quantum physics point of view, that's what constructs the world from the most subtle, like thought processes to the material processes. So just take that into account. I mean, whether we understand it or not to its fullness, but it's a way of exemplifying that we should take thought and emotion into a deeper investigative interest of our own. Because it is our nature. I mean, our nature is not just physical, our nature is multidimensional. We as humans tend to limit things. Why limit? Because of course, we need a certain control over life. We can't go rampaging around and doing whatever because we wouldn't have a home. We wouldn't build a home. We wouldn't have the ways of producing food and the basic needs of life. So that's where limitations and structure comes in. But there's the other part of the coin, the other side of the coin, which is abstract emotion, abstract sense, and experience. And this is unregarded. So then again, a society that is fully based on one aspect will never flourish. It will go to the extreme, and we're just watching this today's world with the environment going to bits and pieces until it finally doesn't support us. And then again, there's the other side that is totally, it's all spiritual, and so you basically, as a friend of mine used to say, you'll take your shoes with you to heaven. And we don't want that because we actually want to stay alive for at least some time. Because by the time we die, I mean, we'll just be figuring things out. And that should be what it's about, not just eating and going to work and watching the world around us collapse so your children have to deal with the problems that we're producing today. I mean, it's all about understanding what humans are about. And you'll find that you will be looking for a coin and you might find a treasure there. Because you'll find that there's a lot of mysteries that can be kind of resolved if only we look at them. They remain mysteries because we don't want to go into that room because there's no light in. But if you light the candle or just look for the initial switch, you might start looking into the room and finding interesting stuff. And this stuff is for everybody. I mean, it's for every culture, every race, every way of thinking, because you'll find what comes to you, you'll attract it in some way. I know it sounds cheesy because we're all used to these people saying, the law of attraction and what you give out is what you give in. But then again, it is true. I mean, in a sense, if you speak to someone in a respectful way, they will most likely speak to you in the same manner, and the other way around applies. So what you give out is what you intake, in a sense, I guess. But again, this is just to motivate people to go in and look at these subjects on the internet, or complement this with themselves, with listening to themselves, or just being. I mean just being. I mean no words attached to it. Just don't act all the time without thinking. Just stay alert, and then feel what your own resonance feels like doing, because then again, we are resonating fields. I mean, studies have shown that the brain and the heart have a resonance quality to them, and the heart field can actually extend up to 14 or 12 feet in average around your body. Obviously, we don't perceive this because we only use a small amount of our brain capacity, but we don't perceive, radio signals either. We need a machine to do that. But the point is, we do have these things, and if we get into it, if we develop these uh, other senses that we can develop, we might get to understand so many things that we are confused about today. Why do these things keep happening to me? Why do well, I want to move on with my life? I mean, you might just want to find that field of resonance in yourself, and then find the channels that will take you to events, people, places, whatever, that can actually develop that thing. I mean, in order to again have a flower blossom, you need to put some attention to it. Otherwise, it'll remain a seed forever. And a seed doesn't necessarily have to become a flower. I mean, it can remain a seed for ages, and if you put it in those conditions. But the world does have a lot of positive things in them. We just need some direction, and at schools they don't seem to teach us that anymore. And I don't know if they ever did, because then again, it's not about teaching religion in a dogmatic way. But do they teach us how to be humans? Do they teach us how to really understand ourselves, our feelings, our ideas, how to respect others? In a sense, I mean, this is reflected by the fact that the United States and Mexico, for example, have removed ethics and civics class from the public educational program. Yeah, kind of concerns many people because what does that reflect? I mean, is it not important to know how to interact with others and but just reflect on things on your own, on yourself, and be open to new ideas because I know science is hard to go past by because it is a method of finding out things as they really are. But then again, until we get a machine that is able to detect all these thoughts and all these frequencies and all these abstract things that we don't even perceive or are aware of, let me tell you, that will happen. I mean, the technology does exist. Don't get me wrong. I've been researching this stuff for about 3 years now, intensely. And 3 years is enough just to give me an idea that, yeah, I mean, so much technology is available, but not in mainstream use, because it's delicate technology. But anyway, point is, um, remain we don't depend on technology, depend on those things too, on open mindedness, and you'll find that your brain is the most perfect computer that we have right now, and that brain might uh, actually be connected to other things that expand on other fields. Energy fields are not that they're not really esoteric concepts. If you understand that esoteric concepts remain esoteric until science gets to empirically prove that there is such a thing such as consciousness, and there is such a thing such as energy fields, then it will become scientific. Until then, we'll have to trust our own capacities and abilities and potential. Um, Education, again, it doesn't take us there. It doesn't take us to the places we need to go as a human species in order to evolve. Because evolution is not just about getting to reproduce and changing in a million years. Because we won't be around in a million years if we keep going this direction. Evolution is also about learning how to harmonize in your space, inner space, outer space. And every action you do, everything in your life that you do is better than the last day. And it's not better because you were promoted. It's not better because now you got I don't know, maybe you got married. It's better because you are more in touch with yourself. You are more in touch with the actual nature of things as they are, and not as they are taught or exposed by whichever kind of or pattern of thought you were exposed to. This gets interesting when you start actually by yourself developing these new senses, because then again there's the taboo subject, psychic and telepathy and extrasensorial perception. It's all taboo simply because science is not there yet. Science doesn't understand that uh, all the potential of our brain is basically like the seed and it hasn't flowered. And this is even reflected on DNA. I mean, DNA is active on a minimal level in humans, and all that junk DNA has lots of information that could actually help us. I'm not saying we should manipulate it, but it does give us the the potential to do many things. It's not fantastic. It's not dreamy. And getting in touch with these aspects of yourself will actually teach you that all these esoteric things that I myself at some point kind of unregarded, as crazy or just, out there. They're not out there. We're in here. That's the problem. The problem is most people are in a box, and that box is constructed by a social paradigm, by an educational system, by a cultural system, and everything around it. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just a product of, history. But we have to change. We make history, and when you start feeling instead of judging, you might go beyond the box, and you might actually learn a few things about the abilities that you have and the abilities that you haven't been using because your attention was on something else, whatever that was or is. And again, we are not perfect. I'm not saying we should be all enlightened beings, but that should be our intention. The intention is the first thing. When you look for something, you might find it. If you don't look for it, it's pretty hard and tough to come across it. And everyone has a way of understanding it, but it's not bogus. I mean, esoteric stuff is just misunderstood as something that goes beyond science, but many scientists are now learning that all these esoteric teachings have some base to them, and it means getting in touch. Basically, the general idea of Buddhism, for example, which is a tremendous religious, influence on many people. It says, know yourself, and then everything around you will kind of work out. Well, maybe, I mean, let's just give it a try. Know ourselves without judging, without discerning, this is bogus and I'm just bored. What's the point of just sitting here and doing this when I can be making something else out there? But the point is that that's the starting point, and from that you will build on something else, and you will actually be able to change your life because you will understand yourself and other people around you a lot better. You will know how to discern situations, information. You will know when you're kidding yourself, when you're not, and these are the real dreamlike states, the dreamlike states we live in everyday life, and that's a real dream state. When you go inside and then perceive outside and understand, that is awareness as I understand it, and many people understand it. So maybe this might be useful for the world we are living in today. If people that are managing power, managing things, if educational systems, political systems, scientific institutions, and all these things got just a sense of the intentions they're doing things with, even if they're good intentions. They don't know the real influences that are behind it, because then again, it's subconscious. We don't know them ourselves. We were brought up in this paradigm, and mostly we repress things. When you feel bad, you go do and something else, and you don't actually try to understand where it comes from and try to make sense of it. Or maybe you do, and then you are in a good path, I guess. And what we do with this, with our time, with our energy, is really basic. And so spirituality is misunderstood. We have to understand it as a process of really not destroying, of the process of undoing many things, many patterns, many models that we have constructed our identity based on, and rebuilding our identity in a different way. Instead of being a name, a job, a situation, a place, a body, or anything else, it is a whole of experience that you can actually build up on, and you can actually manifest in a way that is harmonizing for the world. Because I got sensible for example, I got sensible to the environmental activism thing when I was in my teens too, and I really didn't care about the environment when I was young. I didn't like going to forests. I'd rather stay with my computer and so play, I don't know, video games. I usually stuff a young boy does. But then I started thinking, we are destroying this and species are going out. How would I feel if there was like this more powerful species and just destroyed us as we do so many others? Well, I would try to change what I'm doing, right? Because I would understand how it feels to be here. Well, I started thinking about that and I said, we have to change our way of life. And that brought me into the whole subject matter of knowing ourselves and why we do things. And I realized that we do things mainly because of inertia. We were taught that way to do things because it's an easy way, it's a way that is established, and then we do them without thinking until, if we're not lucky enough to understand things in a better way, some of these things we will carry on to pass on to our children, and they'll keep doing them. So I started getting a little bit concerned about the things I did and the things I thought and the way I acted on this world. And that brought me to spirituality. And no church, no books, no dogmatic religion, nothing. Just spirituality in my personal sense of getting to understand myself, know myself, and deconstruct all these concepts that I had about myself and the world, who I was, what my social world was, who is bad and who is good, and trying to just rethink all this and reconstruct basically my way. Yours is different, and Jimmy's and Joe's and Kitty's way is different. But the point is, they are starting to build on something new, and that is education. They are educating themselves. Um, Start doing this at school. Start teaching this to your children. It might not be perfect because we're just learning again, but then perfect is not perfect. Nothing can really be perfect because we are all part of something. We are all part of the puzzle, and only the puzzle in its whole might be considered perfect. But as a part of the puzzle, you can bring something new to it. And as long as that something new gives harmony to the world, it might be considered, constructive and not necessarily destructive. And right now, the world has more destructive in it than constructive, at least in the physical sense. We're more destructive than we are constructive. And the way to stop this, or the way to change this, again, is looking within ourselves and trying to understand ourselves. And I am not Jimmy, I am not Joe. I am just a person. I'm a human being, and I'm a product of this time, of this space, of this place. And what do I want to create tomorrow? What do I have to do to create tomorrow? How do I have to think and understand myself? And just to go on with the story, and don't make this too long for you guys. That again, investigation was the next step for me, because I said, whoa, there's lots of information out there that they don't teach us at school. I never learned at school. I mean, they basically teach us, like in a factory, what we need, and they give us the tools we need in order to graduate and do some activity or become a professional in some way that we can produce something useful for society. But they don't teach you how to be a human being. They don't teach you about your true potential, about your special creative gift that everyone has in a different way, or about your own interests. They don't teach you that. So you have to teach yourself and investigate in that, and you'll find yourself in a sense, because you'll tend to those things that were forgotten, those things that you can actually create. If you like music, for example, I mean, well, I'm kind of a loudmouth here because I haven't done it to the fullest myself, but if you like music, for example, you should try making some music and getting interested in, and not necessarily buying CDs from other people. And if you like making movies, well, do it sometime. And if you like walking, why don't you go outside and walk? I mean, it's not a waste of time. You might meet someone you didn't expect the other day because you were doing your routine, and you might come across something interesting. And that's the way, so many people meet each other, and that's the way so many friends meet each other, just by synchronizing because they have the same interests. And that's maybe what's lacking in humanity. When they say, I'm a psychologist, and the reason why so many more people today are going to psychologists than before is because people are really having more trouble with their lives than before. I mean, they're just not as content. They're changing. Something's lacking. Something's missing in their lives, and they blame, some people blaming it on themselves. Some people blaming it on husband, wife, father, mother, whatever, job. But the point is, we ourselves are making our own lives. We ourselves are taking the decisions that take us on a certain path. So psychology, I was totally interested in it because I realized that people are really not liking the way life is going in a general sense. I mean, they might be content in a depressive way, but the most creative, the most way they get in touch with themselves, with their spirit. That's what spirit is about. I mean, getting in touch with the energy that makes you feel in harmony, makes you feel in some way enlightened. That's that it sounds cheesy. I know, I totally know it sounds cheesy. I feel the inner fire. I feel the inner spirit. But there's a reason why ancients used this as their cultural, meanings and guides, because spirit is that way of living which nurtures you. So when you are living and you feel depressed and you feel empty, or at times you just feel like something's missing and that's the end of it, well, maybe instead of looking for something else uh, to create, to entertain yourself with, look where what is missing, and maybe you'll find that you suppressed something that you liked doing, maybe when you were young, and you forgot about it, and maybe you can get creative with that and start doing something on your free time with that, and just find another way of looking at life, of understanding life, because otherwise it's just boring. And we will look to our grandchildren just like we look to our grandparents, as you were just traditional, and in your time you were so boring, you had nothing to do. We look at them that way, most of us, and they will be looking at us the same way. Why did you think that way? They were so close-minded then. I mean, look at the things we know now. Consciousness is really the intention we bring out into life. It produces results, and the vibration we feel when we feel hate, when we feel love, it produces something. It produces an experience, and that is the creation of our reality. They'll be telling that stuff to us. I mean, you might not believe me, or you might believe me, but I'm sure of it. And we'll look back and we'll just say, "Oh, I'm so old now." But if I would have thought that way then, it would have been interesting, I mean, just to understand that that inner spirit is actually just as real as a matter you touch, you feel, and affects you. That spirit is actually your magnetic field. It is your blueprint, and it is crying out. In some cases, it is crying out to be heard, to be felt and sensed, and we don't regard it because we just think, oh no, that's bogus, that's bollocks, it's just um, that emotional stuff again, and I should see a psychologist next month or something. If things get worse, well, you don't need to, and I would be happy if I'm out of the job as a psychologist, because it would mean that people would really get in touch with themselves and guide themselves, and break through all this. Sorry for the word, for break through all this crap that is taught to us in school, and the system itself brings us down to this uh, daily life of just doing things automatically. And I understand it, but I no longer accept it, in a sense. And that's what we have to think, and not attacking others or ourselves, just understanding and thinking things through. Well, I guess that's just came out as things came to mind here, and it is an honest point of view, and I know many share this point of view, and I know many might not. And that's the point, is to just share and not necessarily give out full-fledged information just as if it was the only truth, and there's nothing out there, there's nothing beyond, because there is. I sincerely believe there is a lot beyond. We just don't have the capacity, the tools to perceive it yet. And beyond, we might realize, is connected to the inside. We don't need a cell phone in order to understand what another person is trying to say to us. That's human contact. And we don't need a machine in order to understand the nature of things, because we are in nature. We ourselves are nature, in a sense. Just observe these aspects, take them into account, and get in touch with it. Get in touch with your spirit. Light the fire, as they say, and it will lighten the room. And I guess that's a good message to give out, and hope you like it. And yeah, as we say in Spanish, animo. I mean, that means animo. By the way, animo comes from anima, which means soul. And well, there's a whole series, but soul again. It's soul. The spirit is that energy that is not physically there yet. It is there, and it drives us through things. It makes you like things, hate things, and you just have to observe it and let you guide it, and not disregard it, because then again you will get old and your body will pass on, and you won't have felt the nice warmth of your inner truths. Well, good night or good day, afternoon, and have a really, really nice day the next day. Thanks for listening. Bye.